The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between stars, a crystalline monument to 1,000 civilizations that had learned to bend physics to their will. Today it bore witness to humanity's judgment. Alice Chen stood before the assembled delegates, her blue diplomatic uniform crisp despite the 3-week journey from Earth. Beside her, Carson Webb maintained his military posture, though his jaw was clenched tight enough to crack diamonds. Behind them, projected in holographic splendor, hung humanity's petition, a simple request for Tier 2 civilization status and the resource rights that came with it. The Council's supreme arbiter, a being of pure energy from the Lux Collective, pulsed with bureaucratic indifference. The petition of species designation human is hereby denied. Furthermore, the Council votes to reclassify Sol 3 as a protectorate world. All human settlements beyond their home system are to be dismantled within one standard cycle. Alice felt Carson's hand grip her shoulder, holding her in place. She wanted to scream, to demand explanation, but she was a diplomat. May we know the reasoning, Supreme Arbiter? Humanity has demonstrated excessive aggression, territorial expansion beyond acceptable parameters, and technological development that outpaces their emotional maturity. The Arbiter's translated voice was maddeningly calm. The Council has observed your species for 2 centuries. You are dangerous. Dangerous? Carson spoke now and Alice didn't stop him. We've participated in 3 joint defense operations. We've shared our medical technology freely. We've followed every protocol, every rule. Silence. The word came from Archon Kathresh, whose insectoid form dominated the Vrex delegation. Your species conquered your own world through violence. You turned your oceans red with blood. You split atoms to vaporize your cities. And now, barely 300 years later, you spread across 50 star systems like a plague. The Council sees clearly what you are, a species that will unite the galaxy under your boot. Alice stepped forward. We learned from our mistakes. Every species here has a dark history, but none so recent. None so enthusiastic about their darkness. Kathresh's mandibles clicked with what might have been amusement. The vote is final. Return to your cage, humans. Be grateful we grant you Sol System as your reservation. The journey back to Earth took 21 days. Alice spent most of it staring at the stars, wondering how many of them now belonged to a council that saw her entire species as nothing more than violent children. Carson spent the time in the ship's gym, punishing the sparring dummies with increasingly vicious combinations. On the 19th day, she found him there, knuckles bleeding, staring at his reflection in the mirror. They're not entirely wrong, you know, he said quietly, about what we were. But they're wrong about what we are now. What we could become. Alice sat beside him. Carson, what happens when you tell a human they can't do something? He looked at her and slowly, a dangerous smile spread across his face. They do it anyway. Exactly. The message went out on every frequency, through every backdoor communication channel humanity had established in 2 centuries of galactic interaction. It wasn't from Earth's government or military command. It came from Alice Chen and Carson Webb, 2 humans who'd been told no. The message was simple. The Council has declared us children. They've taken away our rights, our colonies, our future. To every human beyond Sol System, you have 6 months to comply with the evacuation order. Or you can choose differently. We are not seeking war. We are seeking sovereignty. Stand if you dare. Run if you must. But remember, we are human. We do not kneel. The Council expected compliance. Instead, they got rebellion. The colony on Kepler 442b didn't evacuate. They reinforced. The mining operation in the Tauteti system didn't shut down. It doubled production. Across 50 systems, humans chose defiance. The Council dispatched the enforcement fleet, 1,000 ships each capable of glassing a planet. They arrived at Kepler 442b, expecting a simple demonstration of power. Against a lightly defended human outpost, they found Carson Webb waiting for them. Humanity hadn't spent 2 centuries in space idling. While the Council rested on ancient laurels, secure in their technological superiority, humans had done what they always did. They innovated. They adapted. They weaponized everything. The enforcement fleet's shields were impenetrable by conventional weapons, so humanity stopped using conventional weapons. Carson's fleet deployed kinetic kill vehicles, asteroids wrapped in stolen stealth technology, accelerated to 0.9 C. Physics doesn't care about shields. The fleet's communications were quantum encrypted. So Alice, coordinating from a hidden command center, deployed an AI she'd helped design, one that didn't break the encryption but made the fleet believe their orders were to stand down. Psychological warfare on a digital scale. The fleet's commanders were military geniuses with 10,000 years of combined experience. So humanity did what it had always done when outmatched. They cheated. They fought dirty. They turned their ships into bombs. They hacked station life support. They broadcast footage of council atrocities across every inhabited world. The Battle of Kepler 442b lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 700 council ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest retreated, and humanity had only lost 30 vessels. The galaxy watched in horror. The council convened emergency sessions. Archon Kathresh demanded total war, but Alice Chen was already moving to Phase 2. She released 2 centuries of accumulated data. Every backroom deal, every corrupt council member, every species that had been exploited under the council's protection. The Galactic Council, humanity learned, wasn't a benevolent federation. It was a protection racket run by the oldest civilizations, keeping younger species suppressed to maintain their power. 18 species revolted within a month. Carson led the military campaign with ruthless efficiency, but he never struck first. Every battle was defensive, every victory broadcast across the galaxy. Humanity wasn't conquering. They were liberating. The council fell apart from within. Kathresh was assassinated by his own subordinates. The Lux Collective fractured into 3 factions. The ancient species that had ruled for millennia found themselves outmaneuvered by a species they'd dismissed as children. 5 years after the judgment, Alice Chen stood in the same crystalline chamber, but everything had changed. The Galactic Council was gone, replaced by the Confederation of Free Systems. 100 species had signed the charter she'd drafted, one based on equality, mutual defense, and the right of every civilization to determine its own destiny. Carson stood beside her again, now wearing the uniform of the Confederation's Supreme Commander. His knuckles had healed, but the scars remained. "They called us dangerous," Alice said, looking out at the assembled delegates, many of whom had once voted against humanity. "They were right," Carson replied. "We are dangerous to tyrants, to oppressors, to anyone who thinks they can cage us." He paused, but they made a critical mistake. "What's that?" "They thought danger was a weakness," he smiled. "They didn't realize it could also be a promise. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. You don't back a human into a corner. You don't tell them they're not good enough. You don't take away their future, because humanity, for all its flaws, had one defining characteristic that transcended culture, language, and time. When pushed, they pushed back harder. The Council had ruled against Earth, thinking it would end the threat. Instead, they'd given humanity something it had always excelled at turning into fuel, a reason to prove them wrong.